18th of April, Rabbi Levitt, Horeb.
Okay.
I didn't hear from Alan this morning, so I don't think he's coming.
Oh, okay.
He usually emails me in the morning and says, he wants me to give him the link.
Okay. All right. Okay, so
So I think we're up to page 5, the unity of God.
oh, okay.
That sound right? Because I think
Yes.
I missed something, so it might be off, but that's where my mark is.
No, I think that's the last time that's what we're up to.
Okay, so it quotes the Shema, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Know this day and lay it on your heart that the Lord, He is God in heaven above and upon the earth beneath, there is none else. Learn the lesson, Israel, from your national experience. Learn it from the word of your God. Understand it, take it to heart that God, whom you have acknowledged as your God, is one and one only. The world presents to you a scene of great variety. You see in it creation, order, sustenance. Here a call to existence, there a recall from existence. Seed growing into blossom and fruit falling into decay, and dust and decay changing into new seed. Here bear stone, there plants growing lustily, animals let loose to fend for themselves, and man released from the iron law of compulsion and given freedom of choice. You see unchangeable law ruling in the celestial realms, while on earth there is perpetual change.
Hmm. Okay.
Human history, too, is full of change and variety. You see men created, taught, corrected, trained, then left to themselves as if without supervision. Then the coming of revolution, and one people among all the peoples created, brought up, instructed, guided. You see war and peace, abundance and scarcity, life and death assigned to the peoples. Nations upon the path of history, and the gates of the setting sun opened to them. I wonder what that means, the gates of the setting sun open to them.
The gates of the setting sun open. Setting sun sounds like that's the end of the day.
Right.
And the gates are like, generally gates are closing. It's closure, setting sun, end. But then he says
They're open.
they're opened. The door, the window of opportunity, the gate, the door opens. Things, all things are possible. As opposed to a person being he's restricted and confined and unable to operate and do anything. That's what it sounds like. In a flowery way.
Yeah. So even though the path of history is is sending you towards the end, there's some kind of a way out.
Yeah, what did he say in the beginning of this sentence? You see war, peace, abundance, scarcity, life and death assigned to people. It sounds like those are things that are assigned. Like there's not too much to get around it. It's you can't escape it. Um, then he says, nations set upon the path of history, and they try to and it seems like the opportunity to do to exercise your free will is available, even within the confines of various situations that have been assigned to a person by Hashem, I suppose he means.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
a little bit unclear to me also.
Sometimes, if you see the whole, he's just got another. It looks like he's just got another long paragraph over here. Maybe we read the whole thing, and maybe at the end we could see it. It is what it was that he wanted to say over here.
Your own life, too, is full of change and variety. You are aware of a power which has placed you here, of an
Mm.
eye which watches over you, of a voice which gives you a law and guides you, of a hand which trains and disciplines you. You see a continual giving and taking away of body and mind, life and death, health and sickness, strength and weakness, suffering and joy. You know yourself to be a dual creature, body and mind, called upon both to receive and to give, to suffer and to do. But however great the variety presented to you by both by nature and by history and by your own life, you have none the less grasped the fact, which you must now lay to heart as vital, that all this is the doing of one God, through whose will everything everywhere has been and is, and whose will has directed everything that has happened and will happen to you. One God everywhere and in everything. Everything comes from this one God, both in heaven and on earth, with everything therefore, and everything therefore conforms to one design, is part of one all-wise plan. But above all, the most vital lesson to lay to heart is that this one God is your God, and that you have acknowledged him in order to live rightly, just as the world, with all its variety, history, and all its change, has its origin in the one source, is guided by one hand, serves one being, and strives upwards towards this one. So must you recognize and feel your life with all its changes to issue from one source, to be guided by one hand, to flow towards one goal. You must comprehend your life with all its diversity as proceeding from this one. You must direct it towards this one, in order that your life may be a unity, just as your God is one, with mind and body, with thought and feeling, with word, deed, and enjoyment, in wealth and poverty, in joy and sorrow, in health and sickness, in freedom and slavery, in life and death, Your life task is everywhere and always the same, for it all proceeds from one God and has been assigned by the one God as your task in life. Therefore, everything is of equal significance, for in everything and with everything, you have been summoned to the service of the one God. Strive to reach this one and be one in heart as your God is one. Well, that's the oneness of God. I'm not sure I understand this idea of that I should be one. Strive to reach this one and be one in heart.
Must comprehend your life with all its diversity. And proceeding from this one, you must direct it towards this one in order that your life may be unity, just as your. Yeah, he's not. Seems like what he's saying is that yeah, since Hashem is one, everything, and that means that everything that happens is directed by one source, by Hashem. So it has, and so you have to, and so even though, in other words, even though he's been describing that people's lives, there's a whole variety in world history. There's war, there's peace, there's wealth, there's poverty, there's health, sickness, freedom, and slavery. There's all different variety of situations for individual and for a nation, but everything is rooted in Hashem, because Hashem is the source of everything that happens. And then he says, like you say, one has to what do you have to do? You must comprehend your life with all its diversity as proceeding from this one, and you must direct it towards this one, in order that your life be a unity, just as your God is one. So he doesn't really come right out and say it, but he's not defining what does it mean. How do we do that to direct your life towards this one? But I mean, he's gonna speak about that later. That's what the Torah is all about. But right now, he's speaking very, very in very, very generally. What was the question again? I forgot the question.
Question is, what am I supposed to do, or practically speaking, when it says I should be one in heart? What exactly does that mean? That what should I be doing, or what should I be doing differently? Because I read this sentence.
Mind and body with thought and feeling, with word, deed, enjoyment. Your life task is everywhere and is always the same. For it all proceeds from one God, has been assigned to one God as your task in life. Therefore, everything is named for in everything, and with everything you have been summoned to the service of the one God. I mean, that's what he says at the end of the day. For in everything and with everything you have been summoned to the service of the one God. So there he's alluding to to uh, to service of the one God. That's what it means to be one with the one God.
So in other words, don't be duplicitous.
Don't have different agendas. Your agenda is to be one in heart, just as Hashem is one. So what does it mean to one in heart? To be uh, to be one in heart in the service of Hashem. That's the sole aspiration of what you should strive to do. Um, yeah, it seems a bit poetic.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of an example of some
You didn't,
situation where I'm not one in heart, or alternatively, I am one in heart. What would be the difference?
well, there's always the famous story that I tell about the person who he was Reb Shabsi Frankel. He edited and published the Frankel Rambam, and he went all over the world to find manuscripts and of, of the writings of the words of the Rambam to make sure that he has the correct text of the Rambam. So, anyways, he was he located a very big find in the museum in Cairo in Egypt, and he asked that be given the permission to borrow it, and they said no, and then he enlisted great influence from various diplomatic sources and et cetera, to try to get use of this manuscript. It's in the name of you know research and education and et cetera, and blah blah blah. And it shouldn't have anything to do with the animosity that there is between Egypt and the state of Israel. And so in any case, so they said, okay, we'll sell it to you. So wonderful. What's the price? $750,000 for one manuscript. Okay, so he actually got the money together to buy this one manuscript, and so they're waiting for the manuscript to come, and you have a whole team of scholars that's going to analyze it and discuss how it is that they're going, what they're going to do, and they're going to go about their work of the editing and etc. And so the story goes is that there was somebody there with a styrofoam cup of coffee with cream and sugar in it, and he went like that, and it got all over the manuscripts, and the whole place was the person, he wanted to go into the hole that Korach went into, and they and so Reb Shapsi Frankel, the head of the program, he walks over to him, and people don't know what it is. That it's like silence for like 5 minutes. Nobody knew what was going to happen. and he goes over to him, and he just puts his hand on his arm, his shoulder, and he says, "Can I get you another cup of coffee?" So Rav Tzvi Meyer Silverberg, he tells this story, and he says that a person could think that he has all sorts of agendas. He's got an agenda of publishing this manuscript and creating a great uh, uh, proliferation of the study of the Rambam in the world, and he's got a great mission. And this person just destroyed his plan, his agenda. So, but if a person understands that he really he doesn't he didn't have he only has his one job. His one job is to serve Hashem. What does Hashem want him to do? Hashem wants him to go over to this person and make him at ease, and he shouldn't feel bad that he destroyed the whole project over here, because after all, if it happened, that's the way Hashem wanted it to happen. And now the way he describes it is, 1 minute before he thought Hashem wanted him to produce this manuscript, and 1 minute after what happened, he realized that Hashem did not want that. He wanted him to try to be Matthias, this person, and make him feel better, and not that he shouldn't feel so bad. So that's the idea. One person has one. That's the oneness of the service of Hashem. He has one job. His one job is to serve Hashem. What does Hashem want me to do right now?
Interesting. It's a good story. Okay, weiter. Idolatry. Avodah Zarah Shituf. Nothing else shall be a God to you alongside my omnipresent and all-pervading dominion. You see on every side active forces and their carriers in nature, elements and carriers of elements like the sun and the earth and sea and air. In the life of peoples, you see nature, soil, rivers, mountains, and so forth. You see nature under the hands of man raised to a power, and you see men with their wisdom and foolishness, power and weakness, passion and folly, fashioning, destroying, and influencing the fate and the life of peoples, and an unseen force that holds sway over destiny and life. And in your own life, you see the spiritual and the animal in you. You see yourself as a creative force bestowing a blessing or a curse on everything around you. But nothing of all this exists or acts by its own power or its own will. Nothing of all this is good. Nothing of all this is a God. All of it is created, the servant of the one all-ruling and omnipresent God. Just let me close the door. Oh, excuse me, I'll be right back. Somebody's at the door. Coming. Who's the door shut? Yeah, I'm sorry, I just remembered one. Hi, sorry, Rabbi.
Okay.
Delivery of our Pesach food. Okay,
Oh, good.
important stuff.
Good for Shem.
Um, okay, so I think I was up to this next paragraph, but nothing of all this exists or acts by its own power or its own will. Nothing of all this is a God. All of it is created. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Nothing of all this exists or acts by its own power or its own will.
Sorry about that. My son didn't know what we were doing and he closed the door on the guy.
Oh,
Okay, nothing of all this is a God. All of it is created, the servant of the one all-ruling and omnipresent God. In nature, you see God's law hold sway. In the life of peoples, God's providence supreme. In yourself, a strength sent from God. You yourself, as far as your body is concerned, are subject to the laws of nature. You enjoy your moral freedom only as a free gift and loving gift of the omnipotent. And with that freedom of will, you are called upon to subordinate yourself to the universal law as God's first servant. That much you have learned. What you have learned, however, you must absorb and take to heart as part of your life. In your actual life, you must recognize nothing as God apart from the universal sway of God. You shall have nothing alongside the omnipresent and all-pervading dominion. God alone shall be your prop and stay, the guide of your thoughts and feelings, your words and deeds. Beware then lest you take any creature and instead of subordinating it to God, place it by the side of God as a deity, or worse still, as your God. Beware lest in observing the law of nature and the law which governs history, the history of mankind, instead of honoring the wisdom of God displayed in them, you place natural law in nature and fate in history, not below God, but alongside God. Well, lest you exclude the rule of God from the tiniest corner and induce blind chance and introduce blind chance in its place. Beware lest ignoring the freedom which God has bestowed on you, you misjudge the animal in yourself, and instead of seeking in it merely a power which has been sent by God, and which you yourself can control, you stand in religious awe of it. Or lest overlooking your own limitations, you proudly elevate yourself into a God. Beware lest instead of building your material life on God alone, you base it on wealth or power or knowledge or cunning or the like. And if you do any of these things, you sin against the law. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Nor is this idolatry merely an error, a mistaking of falsehood for truth. In that case, it would be simply an intellectual mistake, a delusion, deplorable indeed, but even at the worst, not the worst that might happen. For there would still be left human dignity and the purity. Yes. Woman's at the door. Someone's at the door? Oh, I'm sorry, Rabbi, excuse me again.
Okay. Beware lest of building your material life instead of building your material life on Hashem alone. You base it on wealth, or power, or knowledge, or cunning. If you do any of these things, you sin against the law. You should not have any other gods other than me. Hey, hey.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's Erev Pesach.
Erev Pesach, yeah, they're cleaning outside and they wanted to let us know that.
Oh,
It's very considerate. They made a mess in front of our house and they're gonna clean, and then she was telling me they're gonna clean it up. So
oh,
that's,
okay.
that was nice of them. Um, let's see. So I think the last thing I read was, if you do any of these things, you sin against the law, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Nor is this idolatry merely an error, a mistaking of falsehood for truth. In that case, it would simply be an intellectual mistake, a delusion, plurable indeed, but even at the worst, not the worst that might happen. For there would still be left human dignity and the purity and uprightness of human action. But this is not the case. As soon as you set anything else beside God as God, and still more as your God, forthwith human dignity, purity, and uprightness fall to the ground. Fabric of your life goes to pieces. I'm not sure I follow that chain of logic. If you observe idolatry, then the fabric of your life goes to pieces. Why is that?
Because he said before in the previous section that you have your service is a single-minded and single commitment of service to Hashem.
Right.
And idolatry is to have other things that you serve, that you're building. He says you're building your material life around. You're
Right.
basing it on other things other than Hashem. Wealth, power, knowledge, intelligence. And he says if you do that, so then that falls within the parameters of Avodah Zarah.
Right.
And then he says that makes a statement in the next paragraph, this paragraph 11, section 11, that this is not simply a intellectual mistake, but it's is you're when you start to serve any other power other than Hashem, so then all the good things are taken away. Fabric of your life goes to pieces. Because this idea of serving something other than Hashem is very very grave error. He says it's not just an error; it's it's it spoils every the whole his whole service of Hashem. So he's not truly serving Hashem anymore. And so I guess that's what he means when he says the fabric of your life goes to pieces, because you're not really doing what we said in the previous section of being one in your heart with Hashem, who is one, by being totally committed to only serving Hashem. So now you're serving other things. So I would imagine that's what he means when he says that the fabric of your life goes to pieces. So you're not doing what it said in the section 2.
So in paragraph 10, it says, beware lest in observing the law of nature and the law which governs the history of mankind, instead of honoring the wisdom of God displayed in them, you place natural law and nature and fate in history not below God, but alongside God, or lest you exclude the rule of God from the tiniest corner and introduce blind chance in its place.
Mm.
So that seemed to me to be a view of the atheist scientist who says blind chance explains things, not God. So I worked in a DNA research lab at the UCLA.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I worked there for a couple of years. And so I worked with a lot of scientists. Most of them were PhD candidates.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Yes.
Some of the stuff you ordered needs to go in the fridge.
Someone did what?
I know when Mom came back, some of the stuff you ordered needs to go in the fridge.
Yeah, I'll be done with my class in a second. I'll come out there. So these people didn't seem to me like the fabric of their life had gone to pieces, that they seemed to have good lives.
Oh, okay. So then now we have to define, what does it mean, a good life? So he's saying that it doesn't mean that you won't be able to drive your favorite car and have a nice house and live a pleasant life. He didn't say that. He didn't define what it means that your life will come. I mean, his definition of your life has gone to pieces is because that's what you believe, and that's the way you look at the world. That's called your life has gone to pieces. Yeah. Right.
I'm not clear on what you mean by that.
I understand that what you're saying is that these people had very nice lives, pleasant lives, successful lives, whatever it is they did, right? But they didn't live with this truth that the Rev Hirsch is talking about over here.
Right, exactly.
So what Rev Hirsch is saying is that if you are not living with this truth that I'm telling you here right now, then then you are in violation of this cardinal principle of worshiping Avodah Zarah, and therefore, accordingly, the fabric of your life goes to pieces because you are living a life of Avodah Zarah. You're not living a life of serving Hashem.
Uh-huh. All right, I'll have to think about this a little bit. Anyway, our time is up for this class.
Okay.
So, Emet Hashem, we can talk about this more tomorrow. Are we going to be learning tomorrow?
Tomorrow,
Friday?
we'll try.
Okay, good.
Try.
Great. All right, so I'll see you in about 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.